Hello and welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host, Shivangi Mishra. Let's begin with the headlines first. India's Jammu city to get its first integrated command and control center. Pakistan's indoctrination of youth is a serious challenge for POK and Gilgit-Baltistan. Christians in India and Nepal throng churches to rejoice in Easter festivities. Let's begin the show. Even after close to 15 years of adoption of a democratic model, Nepal hasn't completely matured into a democracy. Instead of governing the country for economic acceleration and prosperity for people, power tussles and infightings have ruled the discourse in 15 years Nepalese democracy. Forging and breakup of alliance is a recurring phenomena in Nepal. Experts opine it is a high time when Nepal takes adequate measures to course correct its discourse and prevent both political and economic collapse which the country is staring at.
Nepal elected 78-year-old Ramchandrapada, a social democrat and a member of Nepali Congress, as its third president since the Himalayan nation ended a centuries-old monarchy. Pada was supported by Prime Minister Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda against a candidate fielded by his key coalition partner, the Communist Unified Marxist-Leninist Party, UML. The presidential election has now created a rift within the ruling coalition, as the UML has withdrawn support for the Prime Minister, requiring him to prove majority in parliament. Dahal's Community Party of Nepal Maoist Center, 4th Convention, is now expected to cobble together a new coalition with the Nepali Congress Party and other smaller groups. A new political crisis emerges as the Supreme Court will hear a petition demanding the arrest of Prime Minister Dahal, a former Maoist rebel chief, who has been facing charges surrounding his role during a decade-long civil war that killed thousands of people almost 2 decades back.
In a country like Nepal, even the politicians are insecure between themselves. They don't trust each other. And their only intention, in fact, is to be in power. Once they are out of power, they don't think that no one wants to be an opposition party. We just saw that, because everyone wants to rule the country, everyone wants to be in power.
The 240-year-old monarchical rule in the Himalayan nation came to an end on May 28, 2008, when the newly elected Constituent Assembly declared Nepal a federal democratic republic. Unfortunately, the country has been struggling to uphold the democracy since then. Nepal is currently experiencing a triangular tug-of-war between the 3 major forces. A large majority of Nepalis will support the monarchical system. There are also the democratic forces, led by the Nepali Congress and the Maoists, those who fought against the monarchy. In addition to the 3 warring forces, different ethnic and cultural groups in the country have their own political interests. According to the Election Commission of Nepal, there are 192 registered political parties, including 11 national parties in the country. None of these parties or coalitions who have formed government have ever remained in power for the full 5-year term.
One of the sad reality of Nepalese political party is our second generation leaders, they are not challenging to our older generation leader. I respect older generation leaders because they fought for the democracy, they fought for the Republican country, they fought for the federalism, but they couldn't institutionalize those changes.
Failing to provide any meaningful governments for Nepalis, the political parties in Nepal have lost the democratic values and ethics needed for the future of the Himalayan nation. Irrespective of their ideological differences, political parties in Nepal are engaged in forming coalition governments only out of greed for power. Such kind of opportunistic politics is continuously causing trouble for Nepal especially for its people.
The government in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir is committed to bringing world-class technology and automation systems to the functioning of civic services. With the launch of the Integrated Command and Control Centre, Jammu City is set to receive a revamp in the way civic services are delivered to the people. A report.
Jammu is fast-tracking the pace of development with the launch of ICCC, Integrated Command and Control Centre under the Smart City project Jammu. With the growing population, it becomes a difficult task for the administration to monitor all offenders or citizens who are involved in suspicious activities. Thankfully, the J&K government has a viable solution. The ICCC is expected to provide a management structure premised upon the collaboration of various departments of the Jammu Municipal Corporation, including transport, fire and police. Such a collaboration of various bodies will help with immediate and proactive action where it's required and further make the city a safe place for the residents.
कमांड एंड कंट्रोल सेंटर में हमारी डिफरेंट सर्विसेज जो हैं उनको इंटीग्रेट किया गया है सो दैट हम बेहतर डिसीजन ले पाएँ. सो इसमें हमारा जो है यहाँ पर अभी हमारी फायर इमरजेंसी सर्विसेज, इसी तरीके से हमारी पब्लिक बाइक शेयरिंग, पार्किंग, इन सब सर्विसेज को हम इंटीग्रेट कर रहे हैं और इसमें हमारा गार्बेज डिस्पोजल उसको भी हम इंटीग्रेट कर रहे हैं. एंड इसमें एक मेन फीचर हमारा इंटेलिजेंट ट्रैफिक मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम जिसको इंटीग्रेट कर लिया गया है. और आज की डेट में यहाँ पर हमारे ट्रैफिक के चालान जो हैं वो अगर कोई वायलेशन कर रहा है तो उनको यहाँ पर जो है टेक्नोलॉजी की मदद से उनको डिटेक्ट कर और यहाँ पर उनको चालान भी किया जा रहा है. सो इसके तहत हमारे पूरे जम्मू शहर में 600 से ज़्यादा कैमरे लगाए गए हैं जो ना एक और केवल हमारे ट्रैफिक व्यवस्था को मजबूत करने में मदद करेंगे बट उसके साथ साथ हमारी जो सिक्योरिटी ग्रिड है, हमारा जो सर्विलेंस है उसको भी स्ट्रॉन्ग करेंगे.
The control center will allow monitoring and assessment of various civic services like waste disposal, traffic management and emergency services, which will serve as a single window solution to all administration problems. With over 600 cameras installed in every nook and corner of the city, the command center will keep an eye on any suspicious activity that could pose threats to the security in Union Territory. The intelligence system based on the collaborations of various bodies will bring a significant decline in violations like red light crossing, speeding, driving without a helmet, and using mobiles while driving. It will also generate e-challans on these violations through automatic number plate recognition.
Integrated Command and Control Center जैसे कि नाम सजेस्ट करता है, it's not simply command and control center, it's integrated. So और भी सारे डिपार्टमेंट्स हैं उनका भी यहाँ पर हम एप्लीकेशन को इंटीग्रेट करके और उन पे हम उनकी जो सर्विसेज को मॉनिटर कर सकते हैं. स्पेसिफिकली इसमें हम म्यूनसिपल सर्विसेज, क्योंकि दिस इज़ अ यूएलबी, तो म्यूनसिपल सर्विसेज के एरिया में जितनी भी हमारी सर्विसेज जो इम्पोर्टेंट है, वाटर है, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी है, आपका जो फायर एंड इमरजेंसी सर्विसेज है, आपका जो ट्रैफिक मैनेजमेंट है, वी हैव द एनवायरमेंटल इश्यूज, सो वी हैव सम सेंसर्स आल्सो. तो छोटी बड़ी मिला के कई सर्विसेज हैं जो हम ऑलरेडी इंटीग्रेशन में कुछ हमने कर दी हैं, कुछ हम उसमें कोशिश कर रहे हैं उसको जल्द से जल्द कंप्लीट कर लेंगे.
The Integrated Command and Control Center will have representatives from every municipal department assigned at the headquarters for better coordination of the management, ensuring the best of services to the public. It will assist in disaster management and crisis management through its quick information dissemination system on a real-time basis to facilitate faster action and better management. The move seems to be getting a lot of public appraisal for the efforts being undertaken by the authorities for the modernization of administration and management processes. The residents wholeheartedly approve of the decision to integrate technology in day-to-day operations to make the city a safe place.
ट्रैफिक मैनेजमेंट के लिए जितने भी अलग अलग यहाँ पे ट्रैफिक लाइट्स के पास बिल्कुल कैमरास को जो इंस्टॉल किया गया है, कहीं ना कहीं ये सुधार लाने में बहुत मदद करेगा, क्योंकि हर एक नाके पे हर बार ट्रैफिक कर्मी जो हैं वो मौजूद नहीं होते हैं। ऐसे में बहुत से लोग ये सोचते हैं कि हमें कोई देख नहीं रहा, इसलिए हमें ट्रैफिक सिग्नल्स को फॉलो नहीं करना है, इस चीज़ का फ़ायदा उठाने की कोशिश करते हैं। असल में वो नुकसान कर रहे होते हैं, क्योंकि ये उनकी अपनी जान को खतरा भी है, और साथ ही साथ अगर कोई और उस वक्त ग्रीन सिग्नल देख के क्रॉस कर रहा है तो वो अपोजिट गाड़ी को भी कहीं ना कहीं खतरा दे रहे हैं। तो ऐसे में जब ट्रैफिक सिग्नल्स पे जो कैमरास लगे हैं ट्रैफिक मैनेजमेंट के लिए, इन ट्रैफिक कैमरास की हेल्प से कहीं ना कहीं ऐसे लोगों को पकड़ना इजी हो जाएगा जो किसी की एब्सेंस में कहीं ना कहीं वायोलेशन करने का काम करते हैं।
हाईटेक कैमरास है, अचानक से ही आपको पता चलेगा, एक तो आप उल्लंघन कर रहे हैं वो तो जानकारी उसका तो डर है, लेकिन वो कैमरास अपने आप ही व्यक्ति की तस्वीर खींच लेते हैं, जो बहुत बड़ी बात है। फिजिकली आपको वहाँ पे प्रेजेंट नहीं होना पड़ेगा, हाईटेक टेक्नोलॉजी है और आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस का इस बार जम्मू कश्मीर में यूज़ किया गया है, जो काफ़ी अच्छा है और मदद हमारी सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस को मिलेगी।
The launch of the Integrated Control and Command Center is certainly a feat for the government of Jammu and Kashmir and will go down in history as one of the best decisions undertaken for proactive and effective governance.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
Residents in the northern Thai city of Chiang Mai wore face masks as air quality climbed beyond the safe threshold to unhealthy levels, a result of seasonal agricultural burning across and in the region. Thailand's medical department recommended on Monday that people, especially the elderly, should avoid outdoor activity and wear a mask that can filter airborne particles. Sunat Insao, an orange juice seller at Chiang Mai's Doi Suthep mountain, a popular lookout point overlooking the city, told that the air pollution has impacted her business. Chiang Mai on Monday was listed as one of the top 3 cities with the worst air pollution in the world, with an air quality index reading of 174, 19.9 times above the recommended limit given by the World Health Organization. Thousands of devotees gathered near a pond in Kathmandu city to take part in a jewelry finding festival and mark the celebrations of Tudal Devi Jatra or Gehna Khojne Jatra. Devotees carried a decorated chariot of goddess Tudal Devi Vaishnavi and moved it in the pond to symbolically search for the missing jewelry, which the legends say was lost by goddess when she was swimming with her sisters in the sacred water body. The devotees, which included both young and old alike, were seen cheering as the chariot of the goddess was pulled by the man in the pond. The festival is celebrated for a week, and on the main day the goddess is taken around on a chariot from her Baluwata temple to the temple in the Hadigaon area of Kathmandu that houses many other ancient monuments. Tens of thousands of people staged protests against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's plans to tighten controls on the Supreme Court despite heightened security worries after 2 deadly attacks a day earlier. In central Tel Aviv, crowds waving the blue and white Israeli flags that have become a hallmark of the protests over the past 3 months gathered in a show of defiance against plans they see as an existential threat to Israeli democracy. The latest in a series of protests against the plans, which were paused last month in the face of a wave of strikes and mass demonstrations, come as Israel faces a sharp rise in tensions on several fronts during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Around Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, thousands of worshippers attended evening prayers amid concerns over a possible repeat of nighttime police raids this week that were followed by rocket barrages into Israel and Israeli strikes into Gaza and southern Lebanon. Israelis were also on edge after a car ramming in Tel Aviv on Friday that killed an Italian man and wounded 5 other tourists hours after a gun attack killed 2 Israeli sisters and wounded their mother near a settlement in the occupied West Bank. Samsung Electronics reported a likely 96% plunge in first quarter operating profit, worse than analysts had forecast, as a chip glut worsened and buyers slowed purchases amid a global economic slowdown. The world's largest memory chip and TV maker estimated its operating profit fell to 600 billion won in January-March from 14.12 trillion won a year earlier in a short preliminary earnings statement. The profit fell short of a 873 billion won Refinitiv Smart estimate, weighted toward analysts who are more consistently accurate. Multiple estimates were revised down earlier this week. Revenue likely fell 19% from the same period a year earlier to 63 trillion won. The company is due to release detailed earnings, including divisional breakdowns, later this month.
Ever since its inception in 1947, Pakistan has left no stone unturned in its endeavour to push a preposterous narrative of history, one that serves the whims and fancies of an anti-India theocracy. Such spiteful narratives can delude gullible minds and radicalize them into fanatics and terrorists. In a recent interview, Amjad Ayub Mirza, a human rights activist, highlighted the modus operandi of these sinister activities of Pakistan. We have a report.
After realizing that its military power stands trivial in front of the Indian army, Pakistan has yet again started using its nefarious plans to indoctrinate the youth of POK. Their aim is to turn them into terrorists who would later help Pakistan wage a proxy war against India. The resurgence of state-funded extremist groups like Jamiat-e-Tulba means that any call to preach ethnic or religious diversity will be discouraged and trampled upon. These groups not only bring in cash flows from organizations around the world, but also organize conferences in collaboration with ISI that are used to radicalize Pakistani youth against India. The indoctrination of youth in POK will not only turn them into terrorists, but make theirs and their families' lives a living hell.
Recently in Rawalakot, the Islamic Jamiat-e-Tulba held a big conference in which they invited the local Kashmiri youth from colleges and universities to join jihad against India and work for the accession of Union Territory Jammu Kashmir with Pakistan.
Apart from indoctrinating its youth, Pakistan has also been exploiting the resources in the illegally occupied territories of POK and Gilgit-Baltistan. Deforestation, water contamination, and illegal land grabbing are among the major issues. The indigenous people of POK and Gilgit-Baltistan not only face issues like poverty, malnutrition, and unemployment, but they have no opportunities to grow due to a lack of basic infrastructure, good education, and health care. Pakistan's indifference towards the plight of the people it persecutes in POK and Gilgit-Baltistan has turned their lives upside down. They continue to demand the reunification of their land with India, as it is the only hope they can cling to.
And this is a joke. The people of POJK are asking for reunification of POJK with Mother India, and then like a knife, like a missile, Pakistan Army throws its proxies into every single university and college to make sure that they not only are present there as a threat to the forces that want to join India, but also to make sure that the jihad in Kashmir is a living reality.
At a time when the entire population in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and Gilgit-Baltistan are engulfed in resistance against the fascist regime, it appears that Pakistan is more interested in turning a generation of young minds into religious extremists and terrorists.
India and Nepal celebrates a number of festivals throughout the year, which is a true manifestation of its rich culture and traditions. Whether it is a Hindu, Muslim or Christian festival, every occasion is celebrated with great merriment across the countries. This was recently observed during the occasion of Easter Sunday, as Christians from across the country commemorated the festival with much joy and enthusiasm.
Christians in India flock to churches around the country to celebrate Easter Sunday, the day when Jesus Christ was resurrected from his grave after being crucified. Christ's resurrection is seen as a sign of new beginnings and hope, and it is thought that people who believe in him will be resurrected as well. To mark the festivities, devotees in the capital New Delhi, Western Goa and southern Thiruvananthapuram cities were seen offering prayers at churches and participated in Mass.
Tonight, families and friends have gathered here to celebrate the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ. This marks as the end of season of Lent, and families and friends gather together to celebrate the season of Lent.
Easter is the most important day or solemnity in the calendar of the Christian church and faith, because on this day we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ, our Lord, from death. We know that he was crucified on the cross, and that was remembered on Good Friday.
Easter is a popular day for the process of baptism and welcoming new members into the Christian faith. This day also marks the end of the Lent period. Not just in India, Nepal too celebrates Easter Sunday with mass prayers. They also marched on the street, rallying through various locations in Kathmandu in order to mark the occasion. The rally organized on Sunday morning featured placards, chanting slogans, singing and dancing on the street. In an event that has become one of its kind, that the Christians of Nepal have come out onto the street and gathered to celebrate the festival.
इस्टरमा खास गरी यो शान्ति पदयात्रा भनेर शान्ति र्यालीहरूको आयोजना गरिन्छ अनि बिहानै आफ्ना चर्चहरूमा सूर्योदय भन्दा अगाडि नै आफ्ना चर्चहरूमा चाहिँ प्रार्थना सेवाहरू सर्भिसहरू आयोजना गरिन्छन् र बिहानै उदय हुनुभन्दा अगाडि नै सबै क्रिस्चियनहरू चाहिँ इसाई धर्मावलम्बीहरू चाहिँ आफ्नो चर्चमा गिर्जामा चाहिँ उनीहरू भेला हुन्छन् र प्रार्थना गर्छन् र त्यहाँ पनि एकअर्कालाई शुभकामना आदान प्रदान गरेर उनीहरू यसरी शान्ति पदयात्रामा निस्किन्छन् अनि यो अवधिमा खास गरी गरिबहरूलाई दान दिनु र उनीहरूप्रति अनुग्रहित रहनुलाई मुख्य रूपमा चाहिँ इसाईहरूले लिने गर्छन्.
Easter Sunday is celebrated with the belief that Jesus was resurrected on the third day after he was crucified. According to the Bible, 2000 years ago on Friday, Jesus was crucified on the hill of Jerusalem, and on the third day after that, he was resurrected, and that day was Sunday. The Holy Week, which begins on Palm Sunday and ends on Easter Sunday, marks the last week of Lent, a period of 40 days that comes before Easter in the Christian calendar and commemorates Christ's 40th day in the wilderness, traditionally a time of fasting and reflection.
It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We'll be back next week at the same time. This is Shivangi Mishra signing off on behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.